Hello everyone. Today I am sharing the simple process I use to allocate my income every month. I like a structured approach for managing personal finance, and maybe this can be helpful for anyone who feels the same. So for every dollar of income, regardless of the income source, I transfer a set percentage into a separate account for savings. The amount to save, as with many aspects of personal finance, is very personal and depends on the nature of one's financial goals. For me, saving and investing are all means to an end, and setting well-defined financial goals helps to keep me focused and motivated. I currently save 20% of my income, which is up from 10% a few years ago. The savings percentage is intentionally lower than the maximum amount I could save each month. I just like to have some extra room in case of any unexpected expenses. This 20% saved is allocated between my long-term and short-term financial goals. For long-term goals such as purchasing a property or saving for retirement, every time the balance saved accumulates to a few $1,000s, I make a purchase through one of my investment accounts. I use different investment strategies to save for different long-term goals, but saving is a whole other topic, perhaps to be discussed in another video. I also save toward other goals that are intended to be checked off within the year. The funds saved for these short-term goals, such as travel, are kept in cash instead of being invested. Once savings have been accounted for, I don't track or set any budgets regarding how much I can spend on recurring day-to-day expenses, such as groceries and household items. Now that may seem controversial. Let me explain. First of all, my recurring day-to-day expenses are fairly stable from month to month, so I have a good sense of how much these costs will add up to, even without tracking each expense individually. Secondly, since I use a credit card for almost all of my shopping, as long as the balance due on my monthly statement is in line with the average, it saves me the time of tracking expenses as they are incurred. Now, for anyone trying to cut down on expenses, tracking spending is absolutely helpful to identify categories where there may be room for reduction. I went through that process a few years ago, and my spending habits today still benefit from that exercise. Tips about setting up a budget and tracking spending are slightly different topics than the income allocation process I am sharing today, so I won't go into more details about that right now. Anyways, after accounting for savings, fixed expenses such as rent and phone bills, and the recurring day-to-day expenses, whatever is left is the maximum I can spend on non-recurring expenses, such as gifts, new clothes, and fancy skincare. In early January of each year, whatever is left after all expenses from the year before is transferred to savings. If there are consistently large amounts left over, then it's a signal that my saving percentage may be too low. For example, in 2020, I could have saved 30% of my income instead of 20%, and still cover my expenses comfortably. Of course, 2020 was no ordinary year, and I know my expenses were low because I stayed home as much as I could. While I am planning to step up my saving percentage later this year, I am still undecided on what that new level should be. Similarly, any short-term savings left over at the end of the year are reallocated to long-term goals and invested accordingly. So under my use it or invest it approach, I do not carry over savings for short-term goals from one year to the next. For example, since travel was not really possible in 2020, the money I had saved for a travel last year is now part of my savings toward a property instead. So there we go. Here is the full income allocation process that works for my lifestyle. If you have any personal finance tips to share, or if you have any questions, please let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel. Thank you for watching.